Well, better late than never. Of course, Trump had this interview with George Stephanopoulos where, yeah, look, I'm not going to bother going over the main thing that fucking mainstream media melted down over for like a week straight afterwards. Mr. President, would you accept information from another country? And then, of course, he goes, I don't know if somebody like Norway were to give me the... maybe I would look at anybody else. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever. But I watched the whole hour-long thing, and there were a couple things that were, oh, God, they were priceless. It just kind of gives you a little insight into him. Then there's some other parts, too, where he ends up, like, saying how honest he is. He's like, no, I like truth. I like honesty. Quite frankly, I am a very honest person. He even said, like, and you can tell, looking at his face, he's saying it knowing goddamn well, dude. He's trolling. It's kind of funny. Where this guy, I mean, come on.
It's untrue. I like the truth. You know, I'm actually a very honest guy. If I thought they were correct, I wouldn't be complaining at all.
He's not being for real. He's like, no, I really am honest. I like truth. Okay. But there was a couple things on there where you looked at it and you were like, oh my God, this guy. And it's a multitude of different things. So the first one, as you're going along watching, was he gets a ride in the new Beast, the new Cadillac limousine that has got total protection everywhere. And real nice looking thing. And that's where Stephanopoulos and him are in the back just kind of conversating. And that's where they bring up these polls that his own team had commissioned, where they're like, hey, let's see how he's doing in all these different states and what's the percentage of how ahead or behind or whatever. And so word had gotten out amongst people in the business, you know, that, well, hey, dude, he's not doing that well in a whole lot of places. And so what it was a leak by the very team that's supposed to do all the research and develop, you know, well, all the polls and stuff for him. And it just gives you the total insight into how this guy does not want any bad information, even if it's going to help his stupid ass. It's like, no, don't tell me shit, all good things, and if they're bad, just ignore them. You know what? I don't know. That's what it must be, because he goes around telling George Stephanopoulos during this whole thing, he's like, I don't believe those phony polls. I'm leading everywhere. I'm totally 100% in control of my own destiny. I'm on top here. What do you think? Joe's going to beat me in Texas? Come on, or whatever, right? And it turns out later, you can even see it in the video where he goes, all right, stop this whole thing. Let me get this guy on the line. And it turns out that's the guy who runs the polling and the Oppo research for him. And apparently that guy was like, actually, you are losing, and we did release it. It was kind of our way to, let you know so you weren't caught off guard. And
it was fine. I mean, it's a political speech. He's still leading the polls on the Democratic side. It's tightening up a little bit. And it's tightening up a lot, which is interesting. But he's still beating you, according to the polls. Well, I don't believe those polls. There's no way he beats me in Texas. But even your own polls show you're behind right now, don't they? No. My polls show that I'm winning everywhere. I don't know. We've all seen these reports that with 15 out of 17 states, you spent $2 million on a poll and you're behind in 15 out of 17 states. Nobody showed you those polls because those polls don't exist, George. Those polls don't exist. But I just had a meeting with somebody that's a pollster, and I'm winning everywhere. So I don't know what you're talking about. So you don't feel like you're behind right now? You're not fighting from behind? I haven't even started yet, but we're getting tremendous polls.
Those poll results so irritating to the president that a few seconds later, he has to go off the record to call his campaign manager.
Okay, so hold it off for a little while. Just call Brad on the phone. And I want to ask him that question, okay?
Days later, we would get the internal Trump polling data confirmed by the campaign. It showed the president far behind in key battleground states earlier this spring.
Oh, it was great. And so, but then the best part too, later on, he goes to the Oval Office with Stephanopoulos, and he says, I was watching Good Morning America, and I saw that you still let those, like, so apparently George Stephanopoulos, from what he says, he's like, because he wanted those phony polls. I saw those phony polls, and I thought you would stop them because I told you they weren't true.
Already sent out 3 tweets this morning, and I'm usually at my desk around between 6:30 and 7 when they start to come in. It seems like you're very conscious of kind of, you're going to set the news for the day before all of us do.
Yeah, I don't think of it that way. It obviously didn't work because I watched your show this morning. I watched Good Morning America, and they had something about the polling, and it's really suppression polling, it's fake polling, but in that case it was just made-up polling. And I had the same thing made up. I mean, they give you phony numbers. They give you numbers. They said that they have access to numbers, which I don't believe they have access to. They want to suppress the minds of people so they don't bother going out and voting.
You think there's a real conspiracy?
No, I think it's just a bad group of people. It shouldn't be allowed. But that's no different than the fake news. And the fake news is at a level that it's never been at before.
You and I, we know we disagree about that, but we have a whole day ahead to go on this.
Our conversation continues a few minutes later. The president now seated at the Resolute desk, showing us some of those presidential appointments awaiting his signature, and complaining again about polls showing him running behind Joe Biden.
For instance, on Good Morning America today, they had that phony polling information. I explained to you last night that it was phony, but you didn't do anything about it. You should have, but it was late in the evening and perhaps you didn't get a chance.
I've studied those polls. I've heard the explanations for them.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
But why does it bother you so much?
Because it's untrue.
What do you think? Stephanopoulos runs ABC News and Good Morning America from top to bottom? No, he's just some guy. Yeah, all right, he's high up in that whole thing, but he doesn't control every aspect of news. What the fuck are you out of your mind, stupid? It's just the thought that he's like, oh no, you should have stopped that whole thing. Okay, yeah, just let you know what you would do if you were in charge of things. Just completely cover shit up. Oh, what a shithead he is. And then tries to play it off at the end like, but that's okay. That's fine. Whatever. It's no big deal. Yeah, it is, dude. We can see it all over your face. You're totally all pissed off about fucking nothing. Look, now the polls don't necessarily aren't reflective of nothing. They do represent something. As far as like, if you continue down this path, you're gonna lose. But if you realize now that there's an issue and you work towards fixing that shit, then you'll be fine. But this idiot doesn't get that. He's constantly bent out of shape when people aren't licking his fucking butthole. Oh, God, he's such an insufferable shithead. So then, which brings me to the last one. Now, there's more about this interview. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of shit I'm cutting out. It was fucking ad nauseum on mainstream media, all the stuff that they fucking clutch their pearls about. But the one that was hilarious was what's his dumb chief of staff, this asshole Mick Mulvaney. He apparently was in the room behind the cameras, so as they're shooting him and Stephanopoulos in the Oval Office, he's talking about his financial statements and all that. Yeah, I actually do hope one day they do come out, because they all are actually fantastic and wonderful. And so as he's saying that line about his financial statements are awesome and everything, you hear
They're after my financial statement, the Senate. They'd like to get my financial statement. At some point, I hope they get it.
You're going to turn it over?
No, at some point, I might. But at some point, I hope they get it, because it's a fantastic financial statement. It's a fantastic financial statement. And let's do that over. He's coughing in the middle of my answer.
Yeah, okay.
I don't like that, you know?
Your chief of staff.
If you're going to cough, please leave the room.
Get a shot of, and I'll come over here.
You just can't.
Just to change the shot.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Trump.
Okay, do you want to do that a little differently then?
Yeah, we just changed the angle. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
So at some point, I look forward to, frankly, I'd like to have people see my financial statement, because it's phenomenal. No.
In the background. Which is no big deal. It's like, oh, no. Let's do it again. Or you go, Mick coughing again. Oops. And then you just move on. It's not a big deal, dude. But he immediately, like you can see it, he tries to repeat they're really they're fantastic financial statements. And they really, can you take that whole thing over again? Because this asshole's coughing in the background. Yeah, you Mick, you piece of shit. And he's just looking like with this, because at first you thought he's playing around maybe for a second. You're like, needs coffee. Nah, dude. You see his face later on as they're shuffling the cameras around. He sits at his desk and he's just like, oh my God. And he gets pissed about nothing. This guy gets flustered and just out of fucking control over nothing. The shit that puts him in a foul mood is amazing to me. It's amazing. So, of course, they go, do you guys, how do you want to do this whole thing? They're like, oh, we'll just shoot the camera angle. He's still pissed off us. That was great. So, yeah, I don't even know why he does these kind of interviews. Like, just keep going, man, dude. You're not going to get most of the people out there in the country. If you get the only way this asshole's going to win, the fucking Democratic Party has to screw over Bernie Sanders and make sure he's not the nominee. So someone like Joe Biden, for sure, ensures that Trump wins again. No matter how much these assholes try the fucking Jedi mind trick of, he's the most electable person to be Donald Trump. He's the most electable person. Shut the fuck up. I'm not believing a word of it. He's not. Just period. He's not. So that has to happen first. And then what happens is not so many people or new people hear about him, Trump that is, and go, oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I actually will vote for him. No, his only hope is everyone that voted for him before comes out again. That's the only way. And nobody new comes out for the other side. That's why if Sanders gets in there, it's guaranteed. Game, set, match. The guy's going to fucking landslide him because he's going to get all these new voters that sat on the sideline for the last God knows how many elections, especially the last one where literally half the country didn't fucking vote. So he'll get all these new people out and that'll smash him to smithereens. So his only hope is damn near all the people that voted for him before come out for Trump and vote for him, and nobody new comes out. And because it's somebody like a Joe Biden or some other establishment shithill, that they'll have to there'll be a bunch of people that voted in 2016 that just go, fuck this, man. I'm done with this fucking bullshit system, whatever. And they'll stay home. That's the only way this guy wins. There's nobody who's going to, so for him to do these interviews with Stephanopoulos, and I think he did another one with Chuck Todd, where you're not, any of these people watching that particular thing, any of the people that normally watch those two individuals or those channels, they're not going to vote for you. There's no way. No way in hell. So he just opens himself up to being around these questions where they're clearly going to be adversarial, and maybe, occasionally has a moment or two where he gets the bad information about his pollsters telling him, yeah, dude, you're losing in these areas, or fucking Mick Mulvaney coughing in the background. So I don't know why he does it. But all right, hey, if he's going to continue to do these things and he makes good TV out of it, we'll be sure to cover it. So, oh, God. Just don't screw over Sanders. He's your only chance of whipping the shit out of this guy in a general election. But we'll see.